explain the difference between the two and the commonality. But first, another song. Before I talk you all to death. Let's see. Actually, let's pick up the pace a little bit. I think I'm warmed up. Now there was this alto sax player years ago. I don't know, maybe you've heard him, Charlie Parker. All right. Well, he had a nickname, Yardbird, and he had written a song off of his nickname namesake, Yardbird Suite. So I'm going to perform that for you. And it's actually constructed just like Body and Soul, believe it or not. It's another AABA song, so I'll explain that a little later, but let me just play. Because, actually, let me make sure I remember the melody, because I haven't played this in about a year. I got it. All right, here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
for a couple of reasons. One is just a reiteration, since you know I'm with a machine, and there's just so much I think people can listen to when there's one person, and also an instrument missing, because as I mentioned, the piano isn't present. So piano helps a lot because you hear the chords and the harmony, and even though people hear from the bottom up, meaning bass, register, and higher, piano fills that nice middle. And so now, Yardbird Suite, AABA, Charlie Parker. Thing about that song is, it's a prime example of an era of jazz we call the bebop era. See? And bebop is really the foundation of today's jazz. Any jazz, I don't care what it is. If it's post-bop, if it's smooth jazz, it doesn't matter. It owes its roots to bebop. And the thing about bebop is it was the first jazz to become really more of an art form than, say, dance music. If you can dance to that, I'll take dancing lessons from you. Actually, and you know what, that's actually slow for that song, because normally that song is played so fast, if you did dance, people would think you're having a seizure. But in any case, let's go through some of the things that we do as jazz musicians that you can maybe latch onto, or at least a concept, understand a concept of what it is that improv is all about. I think where I like to start, I have to sit down for this. I think where I like to start is comparing jazz to a language. Now, since we're all here in America and we seem to all know English, I will compare it to the English language. If you take English, probably the smallest building block you can go with is the alphabet. Right? Well, guess what? Music has an alphabet too. We have 12 notes, and within those 12 notes, we have something called key signatures. So each key is really an alphabet of its own. So essentially, music has 12 alphabets. But just to give you a sample of what they sound like, I'm going to play for you something that you've probably heard some young people do if they were practicing, hopefully, and maybe you've heard this before. Okay, I saw some nods. And yeah, so that was just a scale, major scale if you want to get precise about it. Now, those scales that we play when we're learning music are all based off of a musical alphabet of notes. And I mentioned there's only 12. So our first building block is very similar. We too have a single thing, a note, which translates into a pitch. Now, the next building block of the English language is your actual word. And words can come of many flavors. They could be one syllable, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But let's keep things simple. If you take the letter C and the letter A, and how about a T? We just spelled cat, didn't we? How did you know that? Because when you were younger, you took the time to learn the alphabet, and you learned that certain letters make a certain sound, and therefore once you put a certain combination of the sound together, you get a word that actually means something. Well, music is the same thing. If I took a pitch from, I'm not even going to go crazy on you. I'm going to stay in one key, and if I chose some pitches from this particular key, I can come up with a musical word also. But in music, we don't call them words. We call them licks, or motives. But let's say licks because it sounds more cool. Now, here's a famous lick. You've heard this before. You just didn't know that it was a musical word. Dun 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 dun. That is a lick. Okay, so I'm going to make up my own. How about this? Okay, there you go. I just took a few notes and made a little lick that went da ba do da dee da. Okay, there's my word. So let's put that on the back burner for a minute. Now, the next building block of language, of English language, you got your word, but words are all well and good, but you got to put them together to actually make some kind of statement, don't you? A sentence. So if you put, say, you could have a sentence of just 2 words. Okay. In music, we have the same thing, and it's a similar name. We call it a phrase. Okay, so if you took a couple different licks, musical words, and put them together, you now have a phrase. So I gave you that one. Here's a couple more. Let's try. How about